Hello, and welcome back. We are learning about tactical capacity, which you will remember is any behavior that is not a technically explicit behavior. Tactical capacity is the behavior that enables you to be a role model to your direct reports. It's the behavior that guides operational improvements, and it's the behavior that guides others through change. And it's the behavior that allows you to sustain excellence on the job. Organizational tactical capacity is born in the hearts and the minds of every single person that comprises the organization. In essence, it is the combined energies of all individuals at any given time and in any given place. And so, in its simplest form, it is the interactive behavior driven by individual thoughts and feelings. And these behaviors can only be achieved by honing your skills that arise from the core principles that form the three domains of the positive presence behavior competencies of influential leadership: self-awareness, collaboration, and connection. Throughout the course of this program, you have been presented with a lot of material and ideas. Some concepts and ideas are very new, and some not so new. Some of the concepts and ideas are directly related to your brain, how it works, how you can make it work even better. You have also been presented with concepts and ideas that require you to take some deep dives into your feelings and your thought processes. I have no doubt that some of the material you are presented with is met with resistance, and that's okay. You may also feel like it's just too much, and that's okay too. Whatever feelings and thoughts you have, I can assure you it's normal, and I would ask that you just acknowledge those feelings, allow them to move right through you, and then allow your mind to remain open. You will be amazed by how much you can retain and retrieve if you consciously practice opening your mind to new ideas. This session is the final session in Corporate Harmony's Positive Presence Behavior Competencies of Influential Leadership series, and we will look at the third and final operational principle of the connection domain: effective communication skills. For understanding that without effective communication skills, you will never connect effectively, either in your personal life or your professional life. No matter what your circumstance in life, you have the ability to give back, and giving benefits all those involved both physically and emotionally. When giving to others makes us feel good, those feelings translate to our biology and the region of our brain associated with pleasure. Social connection and trust is activated, creating a warm glow effect. Scientists also believe that altruistic behavior releases endorphins, producing the positive feeling known as the helper's high. These same biological responses will also decrease the negative effects of bad stress. In her book, The How of Happiness, a scientific approach to getting the life you want, Sonia Lubomirsky tells us that being kind and generous leads us to perceive others more positively and more charitably, fostering a heightened sense of interdependence and cooperation in our social community. The act of giving also promotes a sense of trust and cooperation, strengthening our ties to others, as well as creating the likelihood of being rewarded ourselves by others. Researchers have found that giving inspires observers to behave generously later, seeing altruism spread by as many as 3 degrees. There is also evidence that the act of giving may release the hormone oxytocin, inducing feelings of gratefulness, warmth, euphoria, and connection to others. All people want to achieve meaning, fulfillment, and happiness in life. However, thousands of years of human history confirm that these things come not from being self-centered, but rather from making a difference and giving happiness to others. A rich life, writes philosopher and theologian Cornel West, consists fundamentally of serving others, trying to leave the world a little better than you found it. Every one of us can have a rich life if we choose. Our newfound skill of positive presence, the skill of adjusting and creating a positive and energized mindset within ourselves through conscious thought processes, provides us with the necessary mechanism enabling us to focus on that which will bring us the greatest positive returns. Your success as a leader is inextricably linked to your ability to connect with people. You can connect with followers in a number of ways, but all approaches must be characterized by trust, meaning, and caring. Experiences or interactions that are more focused on tasks than on people are likely to be perceived negatively. Negative experiences accumulate and ultimately erode your connection and your leadership effectiveness. Positive experiences, on the other hand, increase your influence and enable you to sustain the connection. Positive experiences and emotional connections with people are what make you a highly effective, enlightened leader. In the same way that self-awareness is a duty and collaboration is a competency, connection is actually a strategy. Connection establishes the linkage felt between people. Connection with others is how we define and/or confirm our personal and professional identity and worth, and it is through our conscious effort to connect with others in a positive, strength-giving fashion that we and others grow as human beings with a deliberate mindset for achieving peak performance, building strong relationships, and experiencing good health. The choice truly is yours, and in order to connect, you must be continuously learning to adjust and adapt to produce the most positive response to any given situation. The response that will result in the optimal outcome for you as a leader, for your organization as a whole, and for the person that you lead. The challenge is to create the necessary mindset that can and will adapt as required. Just as we train and exercise our body for physical fitness, we know from neuroscience research that we must do the same for mental fitness. The knowledge economy and today's knowledge society, with its complexity and speed, has presented us with new challenges that are specific to our mental health. So it is that we must learn to open our mind to actually train our brain for resilience and agility. And as you gradually become more self-aware, you will find yourself faced with thoughts and feelings that are perhaps not serving you well. Worry, frustration, anger, malice, jealousy. Any thoughts or feelings that are negative in nature do not serve to strengthen you, neither emotionally, mentally, or physically. It is important to understand that everyone has those kinds of thoughts and feelings, and they do not mean that you are bad or wrong. Many people, in fact, are pre-wired for the negative and are completely unaware of the self-harm that results. And that is why self-awareness and the skill of positive presence is so important. There is a power within you just waiting to be called upon. It is your inner strength, and it is living and it is powerful within you. You can be assured your inner strength is there. Expanding your inner strength takes you on a journey of the mind. It leads you to new ways of thinking, new perspectives, and a new vision of the world around you. And like any skill, it can be developed, but it does take constant practice. And just like exercising muscles at a gym, exercising your mind builds your inner strength, and so too your cognitive strength. Inner strength is needed for doing a good job, for success in business, for studying, losing weight, exercising, maintaining good relationships. It's needed to change habits, self-improvement, meditation, spiritual growth, keeping promises, and for almost everything else. As your inner strength expands, so too will your willpower, your self-discipline, persistence, focus, and perhaps most importantly, as your inner strength expands, so too will your peace of mind. To do this takes practice and quiet time. That being said, you have that time right here, right now, and I will guide you through a very simple and time-efficient mini-med, which I've adapted from my friend Dina Proctor's 3x3 at www.dinaproctor.com. So please, close your eyes and take a deep, deep breath. Welcome to the mini-med for expanding your inner strength. For these couple of minutes, I invite you to sit comfortably. And as you let your body settle in, let yourself feel your shoulders relaxing. Let yourself feel your thoughts releasing. and allow your body, your mind, and your entire being to find a place of complete stillness and relaxation. Feel any tension, any thoughts that no longer serve you, just melt right out of your body and your mind. As you settle into that place of calm stillness, I invite you to get in touch with what it feels like when you're inspired and you're feeling that place of inner guidance and inner strength guiding you. You are never alone. There is always that inner place of power, peace, and wisdom that you can tune into and be strengthened and nourished from. Allow yourself to settle into that space, to be held, to be nourished, to be inspired by the power within you that's greater than yourself and much greater than any circumstance or situation that's going on in your life. Getting in touch with that place of peace, power, wisdom, and inner strength helps any problem or situation pale in comparison. There is nothing that this place of highest wisdom can't handle. So let yourself feel that infinite wisdom, that peaceful strength grow and expand and saturate every level of your body and of your being right now. Feel it expand. Feel it nourish. Feel it bring gentle wisdom and peaceful strength to every level of your being. Now, let your body take one last breath in right now, feeling that peaceful inner strength embodied and anchored in every level of your being going forward. Come back to awareness. Notice your surroundings. What do you see? Is there anyone beside you? Across from you? What sounds do you hear? After the Second World War, the Japanese economy was in ruins. The American economy, on the other hand, was booming. As a result of this, a number of leading quality management gurus like Deming and Juran traveled to Japan to share their teachings. The Japanese took these principles to heart and applied them rigorously. By the 1970s and 1980s, the quality of automobiles coming out of Japan was far superior to American vehicles. Toyota, in particular, led the way, gaining an outstanding reputation. In an attempt to close the gap to the Japanese automakers, there was a global resurgence of interest in lean methods and technologies. This growth spread outside the automotive industry into other manufacturing sectors, as well as into transactional environments and even healthcare. The lean philosophy seeks to eliminate wasteful practices and increase value-producing practices in the manufacturing industry. Essentially, lean is a business process improvement strategy centered on making obvious what adds value by reducing everything else. One philosophical approach to lean focuses upon improving the flow or smoothness of production work, thereby steadily eliminating mura, which is unevenness. This approach naturally takes a system-wide perspective of flexibility and change. In the same way, the lean philosophy seeks to eliminate wasteful practices and increase value-producing practices. The positive presence philosophy seeks to eliminate negative behavior habits and patterns, and by doing so increase value-producing thoughts, feelings, and most importantly, behavior. Positive presence is a business process improvement strategy centered on making obvious what behavior adds value, thus reducing toxic, disruptive, and non-productive behavior in the workplace. Positive presence focuses upon improving the energy flow or smoothness of the work environment by eliminating behavior that is resulting from uneven or incoherent brainwave activity. Like the lean approach, the positive presence approach naturally takes a system-wide perspective of flexibility and change, principally required to allow for an increase in coherent or positive energy flow to drive synergy throughout the organization. In lean strategy, the flexibility and ability to change are within bounds and not open-ended, and therefore often not expensive capability requirements. More importantly, all of these concepts have to be understood, appreciated, and embraced by the actual employees who build the products and therefore own the processes that deliver the value. Lean aims to make the work simple enough to understand, do, and manage through a mentoring process. The mentoring process concept of Lean Sensei encourages companies, organizations, and teams to seek outside third-party experts who can provide unbiased advice and coaching. As with the Lean strategy, the flexibility and ability to change in the positive presence strategy are within the bounds of an individual's current abilities and are not open-ended, and therefore often not expensive capability requirements. And more importantly, like Lean, all of the positive presence concepts have to be understood, appreciated, and embraced by the actual employees who make up the work environment and therefore own the mind processes that deliver the value in today's knowledge economy. As well, positive presence aims to make the work simple enough to understand, do, and manage through a mentoring process, whether through a self-coaching process or through an outside third-party expert who can provide unbiased advice and coaching. The cultural and managerial aspects of Lean are possibly more important than the actual tools or methodologies of production itself. So too, the cultural and managerial aspects of positive presence are critical to the positive presence strategy. And, like Lean, the role of organizational leaders is the fundamental element of sustaining the progress of positive presence as a business process improvement strategy. And also, like the Lean strategy, key managerial values and attitudes are needed to sustain continuous improvement in the long run. These core management principles can be articulated around the twin pillars of continuous improvement, a relentless improvement in the thought processes needed for positive presence, and respect for people, engagement in long-term relationships based on continuous improvement and mutual trust. Furthermore, just as lean thinking has played an important role in fundamental transformation of businesses, positive presence will, without a doubt, form the next big influence on fundamental transformation of organizational work environments. Influential leaders connect with others by paying attention to the many small but significant elements of effective communication. Communication is essential to everything you do in life. Communication connects you to or disconnects you from customers and clients, coworkers, prospects, patients, as well as family and friends. The quality of your personal and professional relationships is profoundly affected by your ability to communicate. The challenge is to improve your ability to hear what is being said and then to say what you mean in a way that will be heard. In order to be heard, you must be able to communicate in a way that will create the most coherent flow of positive emotional energy within you and around you. If you combine all the time you spend making and returning phone calls, sending and responding to emails and text messages, writing notes, memos and reports, meeting with team members, coworkers, patients and clients, making presentations, and the like, you will find that 70 to 90% of your total working hours involve some form of communication. It is simple, really. You cannot be an influential leader if you cannot communicate well. Effective communication begins or ends all forms of collaboration in our individual work environments. Effective communication skills require a high level of self-awareness, the duty of every influential leader. By understanding your personal behavior style of communicating, you will go a long way towards creating positive and lasting impressions with others. By becoming an effective communicator, you will improve your productivity, as well as your ability to influence, persuade, and negotiate. What's more, you'll avoid conflict and misunderstandings. All of these are necessary for workplace success and becoming a difference maker for your organization. To quote James Humes, regardless of the size of your organization, whether it's a large corporation, a small company, a home-based business, or even your own family, you need effective communication skills if you want to succeed. The art of communication is the language of leadership. Without effective communication, there is no connection. Improving patient experience and the performance of your organization requires improving the behavioral performance of the people of your organization. Simply stated, conforming behaviors within a collaborative culture really matter. It is the difference maker for performance. A commitment to a culture of performance excellence requires system-wide integration among the three key elements of connecting with people: effective communication, cooperative attitudes, and integrated teamwork. Without these, there will never be collaboration or connection within your organization. And so, there is a huge amount of attention placed on communication. Is it too much? There are entire books, lectures, and even professional organizations dedicated to researching and improving overall communication in the workforce. And so what does all this attention on communication say to us? First, communication is critical to individual and organizational performance. And second, we all still struggle with open and effective communication. As stated previously, the key predictor of organizational performance is individual leader behavior. So too it follows that the effectiveness of a leader's behavior is demonstrated in how that leader chooses to communicate with peers, colleagues, and frontline staff. Communication at a minimum requires the exchange of thoughts, information, ideas, and opinions. Communication is a necessary and essential element of collaboration and connection. It is a key characteristic of high-performing organizations. It is impossible to drive and sustain performance without consistent, effective communication. It is equally as difficult to create and sustain a highly integrated team without the same commitment to consistent, effective communication. The challenge is clear. Without immediate and consistent improvement in communication, efforts to create collaborative cultures of performance excellence will continue to fail. Collaborative teams are the performance driver of choice in today's high-performing organizations because of their high potential for combining a positive and energized mindset and the exponential performance that results. The most difficult and important issue confronting the leadership of any organization is, do we have the belief, the resolve, the will, and the behavior to get the right people in the right place, doing the right thing at the right time to become a collaborative organization? Communication is about connecting with people. Despite your best intentions, however, you do not always hear what is said, and you do not always say what you mean in a way that will be heard. As a result, you do not always make the connection. The greatest obstacle to communication is the illusion that it has taken place. You think what you say is clearly understood by others, only to find out later that others really do not have a clue what you intended. Communication is very challenging because there are so many moving parts and so many opportunities for misinterpretation. Avoiding these problems requires effort from both the sender of the message and the receiver, and it's a process that can be fraught with error and with messages often misinterpreted by the recipient. And when this isn't detected, it can cause tremendous confusion, wasted effort, and missed opportunity. In a recent survey of recruiters from companies with more than 50,000 employees, communication skills were cited as the single most important decisive factor in choosing managers. The survey, conducted by the University of Pittsburgh's Katz Business School, points out that communication skills, including written and oral presentations, as well as an ability to work with others, are the main factors contributing to job success. Communication is only successful when both the sender, the source, and the receiver understand the same information as a result of the communication. By successfully getting your message across, you convey your thoughts and ideas effectively. When not successful, the thoughts and ideas that you convey do not necessarily reflect your own, causing a communications breakdown and creating roadblocks that stand in the way of your goals, both personally and professionally. Communication barriers can pop up at every stage of the communication process, which consists of source or the sender, then encoding the message, the channel, then decoding the message by the receiver, followed by feedback and context. These barriers have the potential to create miscommunication, misunderstanding, and confusion. To be an effective communicator and to get your point across without misunderstanding and confusion, your goal should be to lessen the frequency of these barriers at each stage of this process with clear, concise, accurate, well-planned communications. It's important to note as well that the communication process requires the higher level brain function of the prefrontal cortex of your brain. In a negative atmosphere, this part of the brain is shut down, and the neurochemical hormones of higher level brain function are diminished, setting the stage automatically for miscommunication. Effective communication begins or ends all forms of collaboration in your individual work environments. Yet, we have multiple excuses for not improving our communication skills. Communication expert Bob Biesenbach states, "In over 25 years of professional life, I've heard every excuse there is for not making communication a priority in an organization. And I've heard them from every source: indifferent leaders, risk-averse lawyers, sluggish communication departments, you name it." Falling into the excuse trap is a common human reaction to the hard work necessary for effective communication. Some of the most common excuses for disrupting effective communication or sustaining ineffective communication are all too familiar to most organizations and work environments, and you've likely come across these in your own organization, or maybe even used them yourself a time or two. Awareness is critical in identifying these traps as a detriment to performance and developing a strategy to avoid the typical excuses. Here are just some of the most common excuses for ineffective communication. Excuse number 1, we can make it better. Do documents and publications in your company routinely get caught in a perpetual churn cycle where people offer endless edits and add little in the way of real value? Excuse number 2, we don't have all the information. The best you can do is to tell people what you know when you know it and promise to get them the rest of the information as soon as you get it. Silence is not a good alternative. Gossip abhors a vacuum and will always fill a silence gap. Excuse number 3, the lawyers won't let us. Keep in mind that a lawyer's words are an opinion. Start from the perspective of what can we say instead of what can't we say. Don't accept no comment for an answer. Excuse number 4, they'll ask a question we can't answer. Get over the fear of being labeled uninformed or out of the loop just because you can't answer a question. Excuse number 5, they've already been told. Have they really? How and by whom? And if they've been told, do they understand? Don't assume. And finally, excuse number 6, we don't have time. Lack of time, of course, is the mother of all excuses, and it's certainly not exclusive to communication. The fact is, we make time for the things that are important. Your ability to communicate and connect with others is determined by how effectively you do these 4 things. Number 1, care deeply. Number 2, listen carefully. Number 3, communicate your message effectively. And number 4, adjust your style appropriately. If you are an executive or manager, these 4 action steps of communication are essential for connecting with people and teams. People respond to leaders who care, listen, and communicate a clear and consistent message. People respond to leaders who are flexible in adjusting their behavior style. People resist leaders who don't seem to care, don't listen, don't communicate clearly, and who have an inflexible style. As a team member, you collaborate by caring, listening, communicating, and flexing your style in order to work together to achieve a common goal. If you are in sales, and who in healthcare is not in sales, these 4 elements are critical for winning the hearts of patients and their families. Patients are reported to respond to treatment when they trust their caregiver. Providing patients and their families with exceptional service is determined by your ability to care, to listen, to communicate, and to adjust your response to each patient's particular needs and situation. And as a spouse, A healthy partnership is built on the foundation of caring, listening, communicating, and adjusting. As a parent, the 4 action steps are essential for connecting with kids. Children need and want parents who care, listen, communicate, and are flexible in adjusting their style. Number 1, care deeply. Caring is the ultimate connector because it creates an emotional connection. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Without a positive and energized area within which to connect, others will not even try to listen. Superb listening and speaking techniques mean little if you don't genuinely care about people. Remember that caring is not always easily forthcoming. Sometimes it requires choice and a good deal of effort. It is easy to care about people you feel good about. The real challenge is to choose to care about people you aren't feeling good about. Caring is a principle-centered choice, not an emotion-driven reaction, and it is the ultimate connector. If you don't really care, you will never really connect. What comes from the heart touches the heart. Caring is about who you are. People don't respond simply to what you say. People respond to who you are. Caring requires character, focus, responsibility, and empathy. It requires a high aptitude in all of the 4 principles of the self-awareness behavior domain. People remember you not because of what you say, but because of how you make them feel. Remember that caring is a value-based decision, not an emotion-based decision. Here is the key to caring. Find out what is important to the other person and make it important to you in a way that they can feel it. The first task is to be interested, not interesting. Ask yourself, what is important to this person? What does the situation feel like from this person's perspective? Note that each behavior scale style has its own particular level of empathy associated with it. Scale styles 1 and 4 will have to pay closer attention to balancing their focus from an emphasis on tasks to paying attention to people. Scale styles 2 and 3 will not be challenged so much to make the decision to care. Number 2, listen carefully. Listening is all about discovery. It is one of the most important ways of connecting with others. If you don't listen, you cannot communicate effectively. Listening is essential to making a positive connection with people. People do not always want or need to be agreed with. They do want to be heard and understood. Understanding occurs at 2 levels. The intellectual level, a person believes you understand what they are saying, and at the emotional level, a person believes you understand what they are feeling. Behavioral style scale 2 people are most at risk of not listening. They must focus on listening more carefully as they tend to talk more and listen less. Caring guides the way you listen. When you lack a caring attitude, you don't listen for all the facts and feelings. You listen selectively. You listen for what you want to hear. You listen for things that defend your position and weaken the other person's position. You listen from your perspective, not the other person's perspective. When you lack a caring attitude, your focus is on yourself and not on the person with whom you are trying to connect. Listening is a mental discipline. Listening challenges are often caused by decreased attention levels, another tendency for behavior style scale 2 people, and increased stress levels. When you are distracted or not fully tuned into the other person and their message, you are apt to miss the intended meaning. As said, listening is a mental discipline, and listening problems are often caused by low attention levels and high stress levels. The key to effective listening is focus. When you are distracted or not fully tuned into the other person and their message, you don't get the intended meaning. The mind processes information at about 400 to 600 words per minute, but the average speaker sends 125 to 150 words per minute. The difference in speed often causes our mind to drift away from listening. To improve your listening, use the FOCUS technique. In this instance, FOCUS is an acronym. F, focus on the person. Set aside your agenda and your ego, and try to understand their perspective and particular situation. Find out what is important to that person and make it important to you. O, observe verbal and nonverbal signals. Note the person's facial expression, body language, and tone of voice. Pay attention to what the person is saying. C. Clarify and verify. To make sure what you are hearing is what the other person is saying, ask good questions. Stop occasionally and summarize. U. Use body language that says, I am listening and I care. Maintain appropriate eye contact. Don't fiddle with your hands or with pens or pencils. Vary your body posture during the discussion. Sit up to signal alertness. Lean forward to signal interest. Sit back to signal reflection and a relaxed attitude. And finally, S. Seek to understand. Number 3. Communicate message effectively. When you send a message, whether by speaking, writing, or other methods, you are trying to convey a particular meaning. You want the listener to hear, understand, and respond to your message and its intended meaning. You want to connect. Connection is the mission and focus of the skill of listening. To communicate your message effectively, be prepared. Know what you want to say. Organize your thoughts and ideas. Be clear, be concise, and be compelling. Think before you speak. Smart people know what to say. Wise people know whether to say it and when to say it if they do. This includes electronic forms of communication, including emails and text messages. Manage your emotions. Your behavioral responses, when mismanaged, create distorted messages. Know your major points. Repeat them often. Pay attention to the verbal, visual, and vocal. Eliminate audible pauses and verbal fillers such as or or you know, and like. Be comfortable with silence. Learn the power of the pause. And finally, practice, practice, practice. Record yourself and listen to the playback. Get videotaped and watch the playback. There is no better way to get feedback about your communication strengths and weaknesses than to watch and listen to yourself deliver a message. Of all the criteria for communicating the message effectively, there are 2 that deserve repeating. First, manage your emotions. Remember focus, feelings, energy, action. Your behavioral responses, when mismanaged, can and will create distorted messages. Refer back to what you learned in Session 7, Behavior Intelligence and Managing Emotions, and choose not to communicate when you are in a high or low negative emotional state. Remember the emotional process. Manage your emotional process. Focus, feelings, energy, action. The second criteria for communicating the message effectively that deserves repeating is pay attention to how you communicate verbally, visually, and vocally. Verbal. Use words that communicate, illustrate, and motivate. What messages are you sending with your words? Mark Twain said, "The difference between the right word and the almost right word is the difference between the lightning and the lightning bug." Visual. Engage with eye contact, body language, and facial expression. What message are you sending with your body language and facial expression? Vocal. Manage the inflection, tone, and volume of your voice. What message are you sending with your tone of voice? Listen as you communicate. Observe the nonverbal responses and make sure you continuously check for understanding by asking confirmation questions. We have spent an awful lot of time talking about behavior styles and behavior style preferences. You will remember that for the most part, you will have a predominant style that you will characteristically fall into. And you will remember that your predominant style arises from a combination of your personality, the environment in which you grew up, the environment in which you work or have worked, genetics, and who knows what other influences there have been in your life experience. There is no one style better than another, and in fact, research has proven that a high-functioning integrated team is typically composed of members of all 4 of the differing scale styles. What's more, your style can change over time and at your will. In a leadership role, your primary purpose is to get results through others by way of motivation and inspiration. Knowing your own behavior style preference is critical to understanding how others perceive you and how they are affected by you. Knowing the other three scale styles is critical to understanding how to motivate and inspire others, your boss, your peers, and your direct reports. From the matrix on this slide, you can see that high scale 1 people's communication style is get it done. They are direct, confident, and assertive, and they tell more than they ask. People who are high scale 2 have a communication style that says, get the picture. They are engaging, expressive, and animated, and they tell more than they ask. High scale 3 people have a communication style that says, get along. They are steady, low-key, and supportive, and they ask more than they tell. And high scale 4 people's communication style is, get it right. They are careful, systematic, and analytical, and like scale 3, they ask more than they tell. Each scale style has its own way of communicating and connecting. Therefore, it is very important to know your style, recognize the style of others, and make the appropriate adjustments in the way you communicate in order to connect with others whose style is different from yours. Effective communication requires that you learn to adjust and adapt for the communication strengths and limitations of your behavior style. Adaptability is the capacity to effectively adjust to situations. Adaptable leaders are flexible, quick thinkers and learners, and are highly versatile. They do not get stuck on a method or an approach that does not work, preferring instead to be proactive and resourceful in finding alternatives. Adaptability is an indispensable prerequisite to building connections. When it comes to being a people leader, there is no one-size-fits-all approach. Every person you lead and/or work with will likely be a different version of any given style. So it is that in the leadership world, all are not created equal. And it is an ongoing exercise of practicing and learning for what works and what doesn't work. The goal is to become adept at wearing any style at any time in any given situation. And this is where your skill of positive presence is invaluable. As you learn to create and adjust for a positive and energized mindset, you acquire a new awareness for your personal energy field and a new sensitivity for the energy of others. This results in your ability to recognize and respond to the other person's style. Positive energy is a coherent flow that exists when communication is successfully connecting with another person. As your sensitivity to another person's energy increases, so too will your ability to recognize and respond to the other person's behavior style and to adjust your communication approach as needed. Remember this: your behavior style affects all 4 elements of communication: how you choose to care, how you choose to listen, the way you convey your message, and how you choose to flex and adapt to the styles of other people. It's now time for your very last personal check-in of the entire Positive Presence Behavior Competencies series. And I trust that this is one behavior that has become a habit to serve you well. Your aptitude for mindfulness is a necessary attribute for success in today's world of complex, adaptive organizational systems, and particularly modern healthcare organizations. So please, close your eyes and take a deep, deep breath and repeat with me, either silently or aloud. What sort of feelings have I had since my last check-in? And count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What have my thought patterns been like since my last check-in? And count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. What have my behavior patterns been like since my last check-in? And count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And open your eyes. A personal check-in is also a good opportunity for you to do a physical body scan. You've been sitting for a while now, and you will need to stretch your muscles. So either sitting or standing, Make a conscious effort to bring your body to a state of relaxed anticipation. Beginning at the top of your head, as you slowly breathe in and then out, I want you to first consciously acknowledge your scalp, and then focus on relaxing your scalp. Next, consciously acknowledge your face, and then focus on relaxing your face. Now, your arms and your hands. Gently shake them out. Now your chest, your abdomen, your hips, your legs, and your feet. Wiggle your toes and stretch it out. And count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, if you're standing, please take a seat. And again, please close your eyes. This time, I would ask you to repeat after me either silently or aloud. Please allow my mind to be open and accepting of all information coming to me, that I may think upon it in the days to come. And now open your eyes. As an influential leader, you resolve problems, create opportunities, and manage events with a positive response to create the most optimal outcome out of the most difficult challenges. Adversity is an inevitable part of life. No one wants it, but everyone experiences it. Worry is one of the self-limiting thought habits that arises during times of adversity. In fact, I'm sure that every single one of you have experienced thoughts of worry at some point in your life. Science has actually proven, however, that when thoughts of worry become habitual, for some people even chronic, it is likely to result in impaired mental, physical, and emotional health. So, remember the mantra, it is what it is. Now what? This mantra is one way of acknowledging your worry. Then set it aside until such time that you are ready to create a positive response to it for the most optimal outcome. When worry is removed, not only do you protect yourself from potential harm to your personal health, your higher level brain function can engage, and you will be amazed by how much you can retain and retrieve. The best way to combat habitual or chronic worry is to replace those thoughts with thoughts and feelings of gratefulness. Because when your brain is activated for gratefulness, it uses its positive pathways and shuts down the negative pathways of worry. When you don't use them, you lose them fits here because the less often the negative pathways are used, the weaker they become and they lose their habitual nature. When you activate your brain for gratefulness, it uses its positive pathways, the pathways that are feelings of love and peace, the feeling of being blessed that brings with it an understanding that you are good, you are great, you are enough, right here, right now. Your exercise of gratefulness is the most powerful tool you have to interrupt the negative and to activate the positive, energized emotional energy to move you into a state of positive presence. So for the next couple of minutes, I would invite you to practice your own personal exercise of gratefulness as we just listen. So please close your eyes and take a deep, deep breath. Welcome to the Mini-Med for Gratefulness. For the next couple of minutes, I invite you to sit comfortably, and for the next few minutes, just let your body, every muscle, completely relax any tension right now. And as you feel your body relaxing every muscle, just releasing any tension, you may also notice that your mind is relaxing as well. just settling in to a deep feeling of calm, warm peacefulness. As you settle into this wonderful, peaceful state, let your mind show you images of those things you most deeply appreciate in your life. There's no need to make it happen. Just in your relaxed state, invite your intuitive knowing to present images, memories, and thoughts of the events, circumstances, and people in your life for which you feel deep, deep gratitude and deep appreciation for. Just let these memories, these images show themselves in the screen of your mind. Each one, let yourself feel the emotion of deep, deep gratitude and of profound appreciation for this person or this situation. When your body, mind, and soul unite as one in deep gratitude for these amazing, amazing people and things in your life, and as you let your body take one last deep, deep breath in, anchor in this emotion of gratitude physically and emotionally so that you can come back and reconnect to it whenever you feel drawn to it. Come back to awareness. Notice your surroundings. What do you see? Is there anyone beside you? On the other side? Across from you? What sounds do you hear? In summary, you will remember that influential leadership comprises three distinct yet interrelated behavior domains: self-awareness, which is foundational, collaboration, which is relational, and connection, which is operational. In the self-awareness domain, we look at the foundational elements of what defines who you are as a human, both as a physical being and as a neurochemical electromagnetic being of energy, and how, as a leader, you must be constantly monitoring not only what you say and do in the physical world, but also your thoughts and feelings. It is your ability to create positive emotional energy within your biofield that enables you to achieve the most optimal outcome in life. In the collaboration domain, we studied the relational elements of human interaction that requires you to monitor the area immediately around you, the area within your 20 square feet, as we say in business. You will remember that this area is where your social exchanges with others occur, and it is where you learn the necessary cues in order to flex and adapt to a behavior style different from your own. In the same way that self-awareness is a duty and collaboration is a competency, connection is actually an organizational strategy. Connection in its most powerful form is found in direct contact with others. Connection with others is how we define or confirm our personal and professional identity and worth. Others serve as our teachers and students, and they help us grow as human beings. We are now going to take time for reflection. So join your colleagues and peers one last time around the table or in Corporate Harmony's virtual discussion group. And as always, this is a really good time to practice staying focused on the task and present in the moment. You will find this slide at the bottom of page 17 of Chapter 10 in your manual. As this ends the Positive Presence Competency series, I wish you much success in your leadership career.
It's no secret that leaders today must balance many roles and serve multiple audiences, all while communicating one primary vision. Juggling it all might make you feel like a chameleon, never mind a bit overwhelmed. Your level of self-awareness and your ability to think critically, manage your emotions, and create relationships are indispensable to everything you accomplish in life. The most effective leaders are influential leaders committed to continuous learning, priority management, and effective communication, bringing people together for a mutual, beneficial, meaningful purpose. Of course, everyone you meet has different values, opinions, attitudes, beliefs, cultural values, work habits, goals, ambitions, and dreams. Because of this incredible diversity of human resources, it has never been more difficult and yet more necessary for influential leaders to emerge and form these people into high-performing teams. Fortunately, leaders are made, not born. You learn to become a leader by understanding and learning the skill of positive presence and the positive presence behavior competencies. You become proficient in your job or your skill, and then you become proficient at understanding the motivations and behaviors of other people. As a leader, you combine your personal competencies with the competencies of others into a positively energized, functioning team that can outplay and outperform its competitors. So, as you continue your journey of influential leadership, tap into the power of positive presence within you and all those around you. Harness that power to live each day in joy, peace, and harmony, and then live each moment of each day with a purpose of harmony, and your grandest dreams will come true.